This is our second screencast and is part of a two-part series. This part is about identifying the problem of overfishing, and the next one will be about the possible solutions to overfishing. The questions that we will be answering are: what is overfishing? Where does overfishing occur? What effects does overfishing have on coral reefs? And what species are most likely to be overfished?
So what is overfishing? Overfishing occurs when there are too many fish being caught and the breeding population cannot keep up through natural reproduction. This can have significant effects on the ecosystem where the overfishing is occurring. Overfishing impacts the balance of life in the ocean and also the economics of coastal fishing towns that rely on the fish for their income. Right now, there have been more than 85% of the world's fisheries that have pushed to or beyond their biological limits.
The earliest overfishing occurred in the early 1800s when humans were hunting whales in order to get blubber for lamp oil. This had a devastating effect on the whale population. A marine biologist from Stanford University believes that about 2.9 million whale deaths occurred, although no one can be sure of the exact amount.
Overfishing occurs all over the world, and it doesn't just have to be in the ocean. It can occur in ponds, rivers, lakes, and the ocean. Any place that fish being caught outnumbers the rate of reproduction. The bodies of water that are most affected by overfishing are the North Sea, the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, and the East China Sea. These are heavily overfished and is affecting not only the marine ecosystem and fish populations, but also the fishing communities that rely on the fish.
There are about 55% of the world's reefs that are being threatened by overfishing and destructive fishing methods. The threat is greatest near Southeast Asia. Destructive fishing methods that are most harmful towards the coral reefs are dynamite fishing, the use of cyanide, and fishing gear such as nets getting caught and stuck on the reefs. Dynamite fishing is also known as blast fishing, and it uses explosives to kill or stun fish. Since blast fishing usually takes place in the shallow parts of the reef, these parts of the corals can be completely destroyed and left as a pile of rubble after just a few blasts. Cyanide is often used to stun fish as they are easier to capture. The cyanide is harmful to the reef and can kill corals.
So then, what are the effects on the coral reefs? A coral reef is a complex ecosystem, and it relies on a balance of different species to maintain its health. An imbalance of the species that rely on the reef can have huge effects on it. An example of the importance of this balance is shown on the Great Barrier Reef between the grouper and the damselfish. The groupers eat the damselfish, but they are also a victim of overfishing. When there aren't enough groupers to control the damselfish population, they become too numerous. This is bad for the reef because they create pockets in the reef that they use to farm algae. If there are too many damselfish creating these pockets, there will be too much algae, which will eventually kill the coral.
Spawning aggregations are also affected by overfishing. Spawning aggregations occur when lots of adult fish all gather in the same area for the purpose of spawning. Coral reef fish often do this. Since there are lots of adult fish in the same area during these spawning aggregations, it makes it very easy for people to come in and catch lots of fish at once. This can be devastating to the fish population.
Some examples of overfishing seen throughout history include, in Lake Victoria in 1960, the Nile perch. In the 1970s, the Peruvian coastal anchovy fisheries. Also, the El Niño season caused the anchovy population to be drastically decreased. In the 1980s, the blue walleye became extinct in the Great Lake as a result of overfishing. And in 1992, the collapse of the cod fisheries was seen in Newfoundland. This put 40,000 people out of work and devastated fishing grounds that were once known as some of the best and most productive in the world.
Many deep-sea fish populations are at risk because of overfishing. Some examples of these are the orange roughy, the Patagonian toothfish, Atlantic cod, and the sablefish. Also at risk are a variety of reef fish, such as different species of grouper and the humphead wrasse.
Thanks for listening. Tune in to the second part of our overfishing screencast next week.